Okay, in this video we're going to be talking about the new Bosch fuel system on the latest and greatest Bobcat equipment. This particular system that we have is for the D24 engine. The rail is going to be the same, I believe, between two of them. The injection pump is going to be the same for the D18 and the D24, but the D34 is going to have a different pump. And then the injector will be the same for the D18 and D24, and then different for the larger D34 3.4 liter engine. So we'll start with the injector. This is a Bosch injector, and you can see it comes fully dressed with an O-ring and a washer, and it's got a magnetic solenoid on top, and you can see the connection for the fuel return. Instead of a barb, this is the return will stick down in there, and there will be an O-ring that seals that return off. And then your fuel will come in here through the high pressure fitting and discharge through the nozzle. This particular injector is a tried and true design from Bosch. It has a high pressure valve inside and a small ball, and as the solenoid's actuated, the ball lifts up and basically controls the injection event. And it's got a nice brand new nozzle on this injector, and a very tried and true design. One thing to note is there is a trim code on top of this injector, as you can see, and that's necessary for emissions purposes to program into the ECM. And then moving on to the injection pump, nice little CP4 pump. It's got a single plunger head assembly that creates the pressure, and that plunger rides on this shaft. There's a camshaft in there that allows the plunger to rise and fall, which creates pressure at the output. And then it also has a built-on supply pump onto the back of the pump here. So that's a supply pump that basically draws low pressure fuel in. And then we've got looks like fuel supply and return here. This is going to be an overflow valve, and then this is the inlet metering valve, or the electronic fuel pump control valve, which basically gets a signal from the ECM to increase or decrease rail pressure. Basically controls rail pressure in conjunction with the rail pressure sensor, and we can see that that's a two-prong connection. And the other thing about this pump is it does come with an O-ring, and there's a small key on the shaft here that will coincide with a notch in the gear, most likely. Since this is a high pressure common rail pump, there's no timing required. The biggest thing that we see with these CP4 style pumps is if air is in the fuel supply, or there's a lack of fuel supply for some reason, supply pressure drops, the tappet inside of this pump will turn, and it rides on the camshaft, and when it turns, it eats away at the camshaft and catastrophically destroys the pump, and chances are you'll get metal in your injectors and the rail, and that's when a fuel contamination kit would come into play. We don't have a contamination kit put together yet, but if you're interested in us doing that, please let us know, and we can consider that. Moving on to the rail, we've got a nice, looks like a very durable, well-made Bosch fuel rail. You can see our rail pressure sensor here with a three-prong connection, and then you notice that there's 5 fittings here. One of them, and I'm not sure which one is going to be the supply. There's one that the fuel feeds into from the pump, and then this feeds the 4 injectors. And then this barb here is fuel return. You can see that it just slips over there, and there's probably a clip or something that goes over top of that. And then this is the pressure relief valve. Basically protects the high pressure common rail system from high fluctuations in pressure, which could damage other components of the fuel system. So that's like a safety factor there. And the one thing to note is that both the rail pressure sensor and the pressure relief valve, they're both serviceable separately. The only thing to be careful of is if you have a failure related to contamination and you decide to just replace one or both of these components, but don't service the rail, there could be remnants of metal stuck inside of your rail. But probably I'd imagine what will happen is these CP4 pumps will fail, and then that metal will end up in here, and then it'll also end up in the injector. So this is the system. Like I said, we're looking at the D24 specific setup, but there is the D18 has the same pump and the same injector, and I think the rail is the same on D24 and D34, but different on D18. So yeah, we offer these products. We offer the pump valve separately. If you know this is bad and just need to replace this, we offer the pressure relief valve and the rail pressure sensor. Overall, I believe that this is going to be a good system for Bobcat, Doosan. It's the Bosch's tried and true, a very good design, high quality material. Everything looks really sharp, and Bosch has been doing this a long time. So we're pretty excited about this fuel system. I'm not sure exactly when they started introducing these fuel systems. I want to say probably like 2020, 2021 maybe. And when they switched the models, they went to a 2-character letter or 2-character number. So like it would be a S76 instead of an S760, or instead of S650, it would be S65. So that's probably what I've noticed is the main differentiator in the engine codes for the D18, D24, and D34, DMO1, DMO2, and DMO3. So we also have the turbocharger available. We're not going to talk about that in this video, but if you have any questions on this fuel system or need anything related to this fuel system, feel free to reach out to us.